Well, I have to say that when I first saw this building, I said, I like old buildings, but I was like, oh, Jim, you're really gonna have a hard time making this place look decent. And I'm no joke, I'm like, okay. And then I came back in a couple of weeks ago, and I saw like basically tearing out walls and putting in like these beautiful new windows that he's done a really nice job, or you guys in general, Big Car has done a nice job of fixing up this place. Yeah, I think that it's an amazing transformation that's taken place here.
Seeing the possibilities of using that as more or less a home base for Big Car, being able to purchase that and renovate it will be probably quite helpful for Big Car at the present and for the future, and it also helps stabilize the neighborhood in which the old tube processing plant existed.
Our family's really always been into historic preservation. We all just happen to love old buildings. We've been involved with Indiana landmarks for years. And so I think that the fact that this project, bridges that gap between art and architecture is pretty cool.
I'll start with Mrs. Pulliam. Our giving is based upon her philanthropic history. So she was very philanthropic through her lifetime. And when she died, she put all of her assets into the trust and wanted them to be used following sort of the kind of giving that she had done in her lifetime. It was very, very broad. She had an interest in human services as well as conservation and environment and animals, and then some community work as well. So we have 3 areas in which we give grants. Big Car falls underneath that enriching community life.
Personally, my feeling is that as a Jewish family, we're always the minority, so we have kind of a interest in the stability of the community and giving back and making sure that things turn out all right for other people. And so our history of philanthropy goes way back to, as I said, to Gus stuff, and it's been going on for I don't know how many years now. Getting close to 100.
The foundation was established by Alan CLOWES back in 1990 and was funded by his estate after his death in November of 2000. We've been actually making grants from the foundation since 2002. Our mission is to support the arts and humanities, principally in central Indiana, though we sometimes go outside the geographical area, but mainly that is our mission.
One of the main things I always thought was that people will give a ton of money to buildings, to capital campaigns, but when it comes down to an individual creative person, they don't like quite see the same need there. But if we want to be a thriving city, then we have to have creative people, and they have to want to stay here, and we don't want them to go to Chicago or New York or LA or someplace else where they think they have a better opportunity to make money. So a lot of the giving that we do is to keep creative people in town. We saw that, as the economy kind of went down, more and more stuff, which, is necessary, was going toward food, shelter, social services, and that kind of stuff. But just because you're having a downtime economically, we still need to support the arts. And I mean, I just personally think that, after you have food and you have someplace to live, you want to go out and find something to do. And that's what art and culture is about. And if that all went away every time things got bad, then we wouldn't have much of a culture, I guess.
South of Washington Street is part of Indianapolis. Sure. And I think that Alan was interested in Marion County as a whole. He was not limited to the Maple Street corridor or the 38th Street corridor alone, that he was interested in bringing up the interest in the arts for the entire community. 5 years ago, we gave about $450,000 for the renovation of the library. We made contributions to the conservatory at Garfield Park in the past also.
Art is classy. I mean, it just changes the whole atmosphere of the neighborhood. I think what stimulated it was the development of Fountain Square. That really has stimulated the south side, and now it's just coming south, and it's just kind of a natural evolvement of the progress. I think the same thing can happen here. You know, when I came here, that was a Southern Avenue and Shelby was a very nice corner, and not like it is today. And I think all that can come back. You know, you just walk around Chicago and see a corner 10 years ago and a corner today, and it's just like night and day, and they're doing the same thing. It's just remarkable.
I think just the overall work that Big Car is doing in the Garfield Park area is something that she would be very interested in. Part of what I think Mrs. Pulliam's interest is, and what we try to do, is help people, lift people up and help them become more self-sufficient and improve their lives and their communities. Where Big Car is locating in the tube factory, hopefully that particular part of the neighborhood will come back around.
Well, actually, like, my family is from the South Side. You know, my great uncle was born in Fountain Square. I mean, the general vicinity around here used to be a Jewish neighborhood, and so, you know, I just think we have a general interest in this area as a whole. Garfield Park, you know, the park itself is probably, you know, one of, like, the jewels of the city, and I honestly, I probably didn't come down here a lot until Jim and Shate moved down here, and until, you know, all this stuff was going on. There's just a lot of potential down here, and I think a lot of people who live on the north side of Indy, and probably the far south side too, don't really know about this area, but it's a great area with a lot of history.
I think the mission of the Big Car to bring arts to the neighborhood and the neighborhood to arts is probably something Alan would appreciate and understand quite well. You know, the Big Car is not trying to gentrify a neighborhood, it is trying to improve the neighborhood. I think one statement they made, people do not have to move to have a better neighborhood.
So I think the work that Big Car is doing, I think she would have found it really interesting, because what Big Car is doing is a little bit of several different things. Not only are you bringing art to underserved populations, but you're also doing community economic development. You're engaging people in the community. You're bringing amenities to the community to make it a better place to live, place where people want to live. And then there's also the environmental component that Big Car is involved with, of course, with its involvement in Row. So you sort of touch on a lot of passions, I think, that Mrs. Pulliam would like. So I think if she was alive today, she would be really pleased that we were doing work with Big Car. And she also liked, I think, projects that are different and innovative and sort of work outside the box.
I think the uniqueness of it would be something that would be quite interesting to Alan. I think he was always interested in the progress of the city itself and of central Indiana and the arts within that. And I think that Big Car has a very, very unique position in trying to develop the neighborhoods, to develop the art within the neighborhood and within the community. And this would be something that Alan would probably be extremely interested in.